Greetings Internet, DDA here, and welcome to another deck profile video that we're pushing out for you. I told you that we are going to release more Fusion deck profile videos, so here we are. We have an excellent deck list from Nick Glasser, Goku Freestyle, probably the second best freestyle deck, but
second best freestyle deck that I've made.
but strong nonetheless. So let's get started with the deck profile. So we're here with Nick. How you doing today, Nick?
What's going on? I got a brand new fresh orange hat from New York City. I'm excited to have it in today's tournament. We're here to talk about this sweet ass deck. This is a deck that I've been running for Fusion since Fusion has been a thing. I've had this deck in almost its current version. I've made some tweaks to it, of course, in that time, but very few overall. This deck, in a lot of ways, builds itself, but there's a lot of interesting tweaks that you can make, a lot of minor things that you can do to prepare for what you're expecting to prepare for, and it's just very, very fun to play.
Yeah, one of the things about freestyle decks in general is just the amount of combos you can do, so I'm sure you're gonna talk about a lot of different combos that you can do with this deck. But let's start out here first just with the levels and what levels you decided on and why you play them.
Sure. Well, it's the Draku 1, 2, and 3, which are the standard go-to, just one of the greatest 1 to 3 stacks in the game, are the ones that you're going for in this deck. You want to play these. These are like the Cell Saga ones from the original Score game. Now, one thing that I will say, I actually have this in the sleeve, is because depending on what I'm expecting, sometimes I will play the World Game Saga High-Tech level 1. This is a very situational play that you'll have to decide on what you are expecting. Like if you're expecting, if for instance somebody like Didier has been running his mouth about a first turn physical beats deck, and you're expecting to see that and you want to shut him the fuck up, here's a really good way to just shut it down immediately. It's also good for a lot of other things though. So back and forth is the way to go with this, and I really do change it without changing much else in the deck pretty regularly, but.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome ability, tutoring a freestyle drill into your hand, right? Do you run? You actually don't run Guardian Drill, I see. So, but playing it next turn is still good nonetheless. So the level 4 here, of course, is really important.
Level 4 is really good. This is level 4. It's like the what saga was it? The World Game Saga Ultra Rare. It's just better because it can hit the thing out of your banish zone.
It's not once per game.
It's not once per game.
Right.
And so it's just there because I don't plan on. I hop up levels as fast as I can with Dig Your Graves. The levels 1 to 3 make it really easy to do that. Level 4 helps me get drills in play. Makes it easier to do all that sort of thing. So.
Yep. And then, of course, we have the greatest, pretty much the chase card of Score Z. Everyone loves this card. It's like $200 or $300 right now if you have it limited. So one of the most important things, let's see, do you? Oh.
I sure do have it limited. I don't know what the foil pattern, there's different foil patterns on this card. I don't know which is which, and I don't even really know which one I have because I don't know how to define them, but anyways.
But so what levels, the most important thing, of course, is what levels you choose with the 5. So what do you find most often you're choosing?
The standard go-to choices are levels 1 and 3.
1 and 3. Ultimate card advantage.
You're going for card advantage. You're throwing out there a couple extra attacks. You're doing the +2 life, -1 life, getting 2 cards off of a card off your deck, a card off your discard pile, wherever you want it. Now you do occasionally go with level 2. It's usually if you're doing level 2, it's when you're just expecting to have to crit.
Yeah.
It's the only reason you would do that. And of course your 4 is always there for any time your drills get fucked with. You want to replenish them. It's going to happen real quickly with the level 4.
Good stuff. So now we have, of course, classic North Kai and Sideboard here. One of the cool things about Goku Freestyle is your ability to actually have more cards in your deck than 60 with Goku's Blinding Strike and all those fun things. So why don't you just talk about your Sideboard here?
So the sideboard, there's a lot of things that are there just for tech. Knockout Drill, Blackwater Confusion Drill, Breakthrough Drill. Those are all there for the standard Roshi stall ball kind of deck. Combination Drill is just great for you want to have an Orange Devastation Drill in Freestyle. Hell yeah, I do.
Yeah, really good.
Goku's House is sitting there. Goku's House is really good for certain things, or if you just have to get rid of a city in turmoil, it's a way to do that. I leave it in the sideboard because of, events decks. Sometimes you just don't want to let them recursion.
Knockout Drill is an interesting choice as well.
Knockout Drill is great. It doesn't bother my deck at all. I have enough physical attacks to get through it. And it can really just stall things and make them, even best case scenario for these decks is that they're going to be taking, an extra phase or 2 to really get going into combat. And oftentimes that's enough for me to get you down to 0 power stages and just start knocking out. And also, this is one of the rare knockout drills with the bloody forehead on Android 17.
Oh wow, cool. Now, did you actually take a red marker and make that yourself?
No, this was an actual known misprint card. Some of them had a bloody forehead. Some of them had been digital bikini'd out.
Cool. Awesome. And my favorite card in Goku Freestyle is right here. I love this card.
Goku's Blinding Strike.
It's just such a cool
way
card.
Too good. And in this deck, you get full value out of it. It does great damage. You're sorting through your opponent's deck and actually taking out things that can hurt you. So anything that you don't want to see, just get rid of it, toss it into the discard pile. And it banishes my own discard pile, which is generally a bad thing, but it's not always a bad thing in this deck because of Goku's Relentless Spirit.
Not only that, but you have training to draw the bottom, you have physical attack to draw the bottom, and the level 2 to draw the bottom.
So I can reset the bottom of my discard pile, not anytime I want, but pretty regularly with the Blinding Strike.
Yeah, basically Blinding Strike is Black Scout Maneuver on steroids.
Yeah, doing damage and getting game state set up for me.
For sure.
There's a couple of things that are a little weird. Goku's Farewell, you'll see here. This is because this deck really wants to dig your grave up to level 5, but there are certain matchups where that's just a really bad idea.
Yeah.
You can look back at their RNG video that we did a few months ago where I tried to do that to the Didier's Freestyle Vegeta with digs, and it did not work out very well for me, so I wouldn't recommend it at all. Goku's Farewell. It's been a while since I played this. Can I grab that with Goku's Search or not?
No.
Okay.
So it's a drill or Dragon Ball, I think, right?
Yeah, so if you want to speed Farewell, you have to, mastery it into your hand, survive a turn, and then you can drop it and enter with it, which is not always the best strategy, but it's not always the worst one. It can actually get you through some games. Weirdest choice, or maybe it's not a weird choice, but maybe the most nuanced choice I made with the sideboard is the swiftly moving and the quick dodge. 2 blocks that are in there. Big reason those are there is because I'm running Energy Ricochet, which pulls things out of my sideboard. This is what Didier was talking about earlier with having more than 60 cards in my deck. I can pull cards out of my sideboard, put them in my banish zone. Goku's Relentless Spirit takes them from my banish zone, puts them back into my deck. It is technically possible to have more than 60 cards in this deck. In reality, in an actual game situation, it's very rare for that to actually happen.
Not really.
But it is something that the deck is capable of. And it's nice to have. The deck just stays alive for a long time. The only card we haven't talked about here is Goku's Power Pole. This is a card that the only reason it's not main decked is because it's a non-combat and it can be a dead card in your hand. But if you're playing against something with a lot of allies, get that extra damage out there and just start throwing the allies. I could do like Tree of Might on this thing too, I guess.
Oh no, Tree of Might is Goku's Power Pole is far superior. You already got the drills and it's just it's a Goku name.
What I mean though is that you can run this deck a little bit with Unleash though because of this and with Tree of Might. There's other ways that you can take the deck and get up because you really want to be climbing those levels. It's just not the way that I chose to go.
For sure. All right, so going into the main deck list here. Pretty much the most important thing of a freestyle deck is your drill suite and what you're using for drills. So you got to talk about your drills here and why you chose them.
Well, Devastation Drill I chose because it's the single greatest damage enhancing drill out there. Everything does +5. And this drill does not stay in play if there's any other non-combats in play, but with my mastery, it stays there anyway. So you got to be careful if your opponent's playing North Kai, he can turn off your mastery, which gets rid of your Devastation Drill. But generally, you're able to get it back quickly enough. It's not really all that much of a problem. Caught Off Guard Drill is just that
the best drill in the game.
Just that standard good stuff that goes in every drill deck. Goku's Quickness Drill, really, a big part of this deck is that I can toss it for the mastery and actually get it into play. But I mean, it's anytime that somebody discards a card from my hand, anytime an opponent discards a card from my hand with an effect, I can draw another card back. So there's, a fusion, you're going to play against, like the black hand discard decks a lot. This card helps you survive that matchup.
Stare down and just all the other good stuff that discards cards from your hand.
Yeah. Champion Drill is, of course, just pure card advantage. Discard a card, draw 2 cards. Hard to stop that. Heroic Drill helps you grab the spheres when I need it. Helps me grab, what's the other card here? The Confrontation and the Heroic Energy Sphere, but there's something else. Heroic Jab, that's what it is.
Yeah, Heroic Jab.
Heroic Jab is
Really good.
Freestyle lacks a lot of board control, but Heroic Jab is one that fits perfectly thematically with this deck, and I can get it any time. And I have to get it to hit, but it's still it's something there that can get around Orange Focusing Drill, can get around another person's Freestyle Mastery.
For sure.
It's really, really, really good.
Yeah, one of the best drills in the game for sure.
And then the last drill, this is one of the theme drills for the Goku deck, and I find it's really, really good. The Goku's defensive drill helps me push damage by keeping me with stages. I'm blocking a lot of things with Goku's flights and all the other stuff that I'm blocking cards within this deck, and it's rejuvenating the cards. The greatest thing about this is that it's a May effect, right?
Yeah.
That means that if I have something that I like at the bottom of my discard pile, if I'm sitting at level 2, I can leave it there. I don't have to put it in there. So I can just sit at the bottom of my discard pile all day long with this drill. And it makes things really easy for combos and getting things through.
For sure. Moving on to the other planning cards, we got one BTP in a combo deck. It's hard to go wrong with that.
I'm not sure if this is going to be legal in Fusion moving forward now that it's frozen in Fantasy, but until it's officially there, it's officially in the deck because it belongs in the deck. It's just too good of a card.
Yep. Relentless Spirit. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Chi-Chi is a standard in the Goku deck, which I almost didn't run her in this deck for a while just because I have so few ways of getting to her. But Goku Search is enough to make it worth running her. And there are some matchups where you just want to have that extra one there. But to be perfectly honest, a lot of the reason I run Chi-Chi's for flavor. Just because Freestyle Goku decks have had Chi-Chi for so long that it kind of feels wrong to not run her.
Yeah, with Goku Search, it's good.
Yeah, it really is good. Fatherly Advice is, a tutor in anything. Defiant Challenge is tutor and named cards, of which I have an entire toolbox of.
Yeah, plus it can help you if your Relentless Spirits are all expended, you can actually get it back.
That is a specific reason it's in there, is because if you Black Scout my Relentless Spirits, I can still get them all back and keep going on the thing. So that's just an extra way to go there.
Yep.
Battle pausing, same as Champion Drill. It's just there for card advantage. Goku Search, so fucking variable.
There's
different things they can do.
There's a reason it's limit 1 per deck.
And it's almost never. It's almost never a card I don't want to see. It's always going to do something useful for me. Early game, mid range, late game. It's always going to be something great.
Nice.
Overwhelming Power. Now I can actually search for it with mastery effects, so I can get a crit when entering combat if I need to, and that seems good.
Very good.
Heroic Energy Sphere is just Heroic Energy Sphere. Confrontation. Super Saiyan Effect is Super Saiyan Effect.
Just rolling through it.
I mean, if you're watching this video, you know what those cards are and why I run them. Super Saiyan Effect, maybe you don't know. It's the one that the opponent cannot perform physical attacks for the remainder of combat.
It's like time, but better.
It's time, but worse, but better in certain situationally.
Yeah.
Goku's Quick Dodge and Goku's Swiftly Moving are the cards that I run 2 of, the 2 blocks. The other ones are in there. They're because I want to have targets with Energy Ricochet. I always want to be shuffling something in. So those 2 cards, and I'll usually side in 1 or 2 Blinding Strikes just to leave the third there for an Energy Ricochet thing, because I want the Blinding Strikes late game as much as I want them early game, sometimes even more. But the Quick Dodge is good because it blocks a physical and puts me up to full. So I'll take your first physical, I'll eat it, go down to 0, block with Quick Dodge, go back up to full, and then all your physicals are doing -1.
Nice.
Energy Ricochet, the other cool thing about it is when you do the effect to remove things from your banish zone, it shuffles itself back into the deck and has Endurance 3. So this card's just keeping me alive all day long.
For sure.
Goku Swiftly Moving, copying Energy Attack. Goku's Flight is the card I search for with my Mastery, probably more than any other card. It's an Omni Block, stops to attack, and rejuves itself. It's just too good. Narrow Escape is a standard for Freestyle. If you get to level 2 or higher, it's a time, except it removes itself. Time is a time that doesn't remove itself.
Good cards.
And then all that's left is the attacks, really, in the deck.
Yeah.
So we're starting at the bottom, we're starting at the top here. Let's start at the top up here, because it's the only energy attack. Oh, I also have another defense in the deck. It's the only energy attack, straight up energy that I run, the Goku Setup Strike. This is there because, sometimes you're playing against an anger deck and you still want to be throwing digs. So this is going to help you in the anger matchup. It's also going to help you if you're just digging people up there and then just sending them right back down. If your opponent can win by MPPV, you're making them lose 2 levels.
Really strong.
It's so strong. It's so strong. Almost no deck can recover from being dropped 2 levels. If you started a turn and you're at level 3, I drop you to level 1. It's changed a lot about your strategy, so that's given me a turn to just really fuck you over.
Yeah, for sure.
Goku's running defense. It's interesting. It's stop all energies, doesn't work on focus, but I find that's not really been much of an issue for me. I did worry about it when I was building this deck, whether or not I should run it, but it's not really been problematic. You're always going to get one actual block out of it. You can always toss it for your mastery. I think that the card's worth running. Suppressive Strike is the Gohan's kick of the day. Plus it rejuvenates because I'm Saiyan and sweet.
Yeah, super strong. My personal favorite, well, I said Blinding Strike was my favorite. This is my second
There's
favorite.
so many favorite cards in this deck. Favorite is not like a single card, it's a classification of card, and this is definitely a favorite card, the Goku's Power Strike. It's a great card at level 1. It's a fantastic card at level 1. It's got Endurance 3, it's a big beefy physical for +4. If it's successful, you grab a drill. But at level 2 or higher, it's focused, so it hits a lot easier. And does this one do extra damage too?
Yeah, plus 4 life.
4 life cards on top of it. This card is just doing work from the get-go and keeps getting better over the course of the game.
This thing is going to come in for about, 5, 6 life cards. It's going to do about 6 or 7, maybe even 8 stages, and just get a drill. It's so strong. So freaking strong.
Goku's training, it's Goku named, it grabs a card off my discard pile. I've already talked a little bit how I set up my discard pile, so that I'm usually getting pretty good value out of this Goku's trainings. They need to hit, but I mean, that's the whole point of the deck, is once you're done able to block me, I can Champ Drill, I can Chain, I can Goku's Physical, I can Goku's Training, grab, and throw as many attacks as I can during that combat and take advantage of any opening that you give me. That's what Goku does best, and this deck is modeled to do the same thing.
Love that. Love Goku's training.
Goku's Relentless Spirit, of course, is the card that keeps this deck in the fray forever. You're getting things into your banish zone, even if your opponent's not doing it for you. And this is any Goku name card. If it's successful, comes out of your banish zone and shuffled into your deck, which means that your opponent there's something like 16 cards in this deck that your opponent can get rid of permanently. The rest of it is coming back over and over again, smashing you with that Goku's Relentless Spirit. When I played Didier in that last video, you can see one of the big things. He won that game, and one of the big reasons he won that game is because he did not let me get any of these off.
Yes, I
He
always
knew about
hold
it from the get-go, and he always held the block for it, and he had to. He was not going to win that game if he let me do it.
for sure. Good stuff.
Let's start over here. It's Goku's Head Pool. This is a card that even among Goku Freestyle decks, I don't see enough of. And you really should play this card a lot. It's physical for +2. If successful, your opponent cannot use main personality powers for the remainder of combat. When you're sitting there with Goku's setup strikes, when you're playing I'll Dig Your Graves, one of the big things you're doing is you're giving your opponent free actions by sending them up and down levels so they can use, different levels of their main personality stack. This helps me not let them do that. This card deal just makes it so I'm getting full value out of my digs, out of my setup strikes, and my opponent is not getting anything good from me. I could obviously, like I said, you can tutor for it with your mastery. Didier was mentioning this is a very combo-heavy deck. This card is the less important latter half of a lot of combos in this deck that, when you see two pieces of it, you want the third piece to be the Goku's Head Pull.
Yep, not only that, but it's a great bait block because you got the head pull, you got the power strikes, you got the trainings, you throw those out and you just bait the blocks so you hit your Relentless Spirit.
Yes, there's so many must-block attacks in this deck. I'll Dig Your Graves, another one of them. Everybody knows what that card does. It's going up there. It's just chaining levels. I can dig your grave at level 1, hop up to level 2. If it was the first card I played, it's the bottom card of my discard pile. I'm grabbing it back. You didn't block it. I'm throwing it there. I'm going up to level 3. You haven't done anything there. I'm grabbing it with the level 3 power. I'm going straight up to level 4. Level 4, I go up there. I get all my drills. I'm going to have very little problems finding my last dig your grave to get it to level 5. You can get to level 5 first, second combat pretty reliably if your opponent's not stopping you from doing that with their opening hand, which even against high-level opponents, you're gonna catch people just without the ability to stop you digging and leveling early game. on a regular basis. It doesn't happen always, but it happens often enough, and it's the way I feel this deck is meant to be played. It's the most fun way to play this deck for me.
Yeah, I called I'll Dig Your Grave the best physical attack in the game. Honestly, I don't think that's wrong to say that. I really don't.
The damage is good, it turns off the prevention unilaterally, and it gives you a level situation. That is May effect, so you don't have to do it. It's too good.
Yeah, for sure.
Heroic Jab we mentioned earlier. This is the card I can search it out with Heroic Drill, and it's still throwing damage. It's not Goku named, but it can get around anything. It can get around Focusing Drill. It can get around a Freestyle Mastery. I can get things out of play if I need to. It's very precision. It's very surgical. I can't get rid of a lot of things with it, but it's important to get rid of a few things when you need to. And that's the card that's going to let you do it.
Yeah, Freestyle always struggles with board control, and I love to see you play this card. It's a great card in this deck.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely run a third of it if I could.
For sure.
Goku's High Kick is a card that another card that you don't see a whole lot in Goku Freestyle. I've had this card for probably 15 years, something like that, 13, 14 years, and I didn't put it in this deck until maybe 2.5 years ago. But the card is so freaking good. It's a physical attack. It's a big, beefy Goku named physical attack. It lowers your opponent's anger 3 levels as a cantrip. It comes out there and it's just, throwing the anti-anger can really screw up an opponent's day, and also just makes things, anything Goku named, which like I said is 75% of the deck or more. Maybe not quite that. It's probably like 65% of the deck. I don't know. But anyways, it makes anything Goku named gets an endurance too. So you're coming out there and you're surviving. This is another thing that happened in our game most recently. Was I threw one of those and I used the endurance to get out of the turn.
Yeah.
And all that endurance is all Goku name cards going to your banish zone. So Relentless Spirit's just doing its thing all day long. And the last card in the deck, of course, is Goku's Physical Attack. It's a humble name for a completely non-humble card.
Completely busted card.
Maybe not completely non-humble, because it does have just AT damage, but it's a physical attack you can use twice, and if successful, grabbing that bottom card of your discard pile. So I'm grabbing 2 cards off my discard pile. This is an attack. This is one card that turns into 4 attacks. Mm-hmm. It's
with Devastation Drill, you can pretty much win the game with this card alone.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And with Relentless Spirit, you can do it over and over and over and over and again.
Awesome. So thank you, Nick. Just one final thing that we'll talk about with this deck. Just if you could give any words of wisdom to new players playing this deck for the first time. Words of wisdom for Goku Freestyle.
This is a theme deck for Goku. I made this deck to play the way that Goku fights. So do not be afraid to dig. Know when the bad situations to dig are. If you're playing against, the Goku, the Vegeta Awakening stack, there's a few other times that you just do not want to throw the dig. But know when those are, and then outside of that, just do not be afraid to make your opponent stronger, because this is not an even trade with I'll Dig Your Grave. You are Goku. You are the main character. You are getting bigger faster than your opponent is getting bigger, even when you're doing it for them. So go up to level 1, go to level 2, go to level 3, go to level 4. Just try to get to that level 5. That is the important part of this deck. It's also the most fun part of this deck, which kind of makes the thing worth running. Be smart with your sideboards. Consider Goku's what's what I'm looking for? Instant transmission. If you're going to be afraid of City in Turmoil, I generally don't really worry all that much about City in Turmoil. I can get around it. I can live without having access to my drills if I really need to.
Yeah. It only does shut off, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards in your deck? So really not that many.
Right.
So to wrap up here, just great deck. This is definitely up there. Definitely a tier 1 deck, for sure. I've always debated in my head what was the strongest freestyle deck. We'll just say that this is in a contender for the strongest freestyle deck.
The one thing that makes Goku always going to be a contender for that is because I looked up a while ago, who has the most freestyle cards. Goku does by a lot. He has something like 85 different freestyle name cards, Goku name cards in this format. A couple other players are a couple other characters are up there 60 or 70. Most of most PRs have 30 or less is
yeah.
The big ones. I think it's Trunks, Vegeta, and maybe Gohan. we're kind of close. Frieza's like halfway there, but nobody has as many name cards as Goku does. So there's a lot of different ways to take the deck. Don't be afraid to experiment. There's a lot of different ways to build this deck. I won tournaments in Retro with a Goku Freestyle ball deck.
Yeah,
so there's it's so variable. Find what works for you. This is what works for me, and it works really, really well.
All right. Well, thank you, Nick, for doing the deck profile video.
Thanks for having me.
And I like your new orange hat.
I like it too.